actor, it's easier to act and perform good in a film when the story of the movie is good, the character is good, and the director is also doing justice to that story. So in short, a lot of the factors need to come together for an actor to perform at his best. But there are times when the actors are just too good for the movie that they are working on, and even though the movie isn't offering anything, their performance still shines. So today we're gonna look at the top 10 good performances in bad movies. Number 10, Govinda and Salaam-E-Ishq. Salaam-E-Ishq was one of those anthology films where a number of love stories were somehow intertwined with each other, aka India's attempt at making love actually. But while all the other love stories failed to strike a chord with the audience, it was the story of the taxi driver Raju played by Govinda that managed to touch our hearts. And it was simply because of how honest Govinda was in portraying a taxi driver who was hopelessly in love with a foreigner who can't even speak his language and is in search for her Indian boyfriend. Govinda helps her find a boyfriend in the selfless act of love. And the innocence with which Govinda portrays Raju during the whole film really makes you feel for his character. And is certainly the only good thing about Salaam-E-Ishq. And the only reason it's on number 10 is because his role was quite small because of the nature of the film. Number 9, Kangana Ranaut in Rangoon. Now, don't click off as of now. We all know what Kangana is doing nowadays and we even made a video about it. But we have to put in this list because jo hai wo hai. Rangoon was one of those rare failures by Vishal Bhardwaj which really surprised the world. With a star cast of Shahid Kapoor, Saif Ali Khan and Kangana Ranaut set in the backdrop of 1943, now there's no reason for Rangoon to be as bad as it was, but sadly it was. And there were many reasons for that. But the performance by Kangana Ranaut certainly isn't. Kangana plays the role of Julia in the film Rangoon, which is clearly a tribute to fearless Nadia, who was an actress and a stunt woman in the 1940s. And Kangana plays her aptly with some good action sequences which are not as good as Tom Cruise but good enough. Her body language is also spot on, and one of her acting scenes where the camera is fixed on her face stays with you even after the movie. Her multi-layered and dynamic performance is the saving grace of Rangoon, and that's why she's making this list. Number 8, Amitabh Bachchan and Eklavya the Royal Guard. Now people think just because Eklavya went to the Oscars it was a good film. But the fact of the matter is that Eklavya was a movie which was average at best and was wrongfully sent to the Oscars according to us. Because it showcases a theme of kings and princes in 2007 Rajasthan which just doesn't make sense. The film has a huge star cast with a number of big names like Saif Ali Khan, Sanjay Dutt, Vidya Balan amongst others. But the only performance that stays with you is the performance by Amitabh Bachchan, who portrays the role of Eklavya, whose job is to protect the king and his dynasty at all cost. Eklavya is a man of few words, but Amitabh plays it to perfection as he lets his eyes do the talking. His body language is perfect of an old tired man who just wants to fulfill his dharma, and you can feel his anguish and his pain in every scene that he is present in. And the fact that he plays this action-packed role at the age of 63-64 is really commendable. Number 7, Manoj Bajpayee and Ux. Ux was a supernatural thriller directed by none other than Rakesh Omprakash Mehra. It showed the cat and mouse chase between a cop and a contract serial killer. One played by Amitabh and the other played by Manoj Bajpayee, who's the main attraction of this film. Manoj Bajpayee plays the role of the cold contract killer named Raghavan, who's really an amalgamation of evil itself. He is ruthless, menacing, and a real psychotic serial killer who just loves killing. Some of his monologues are really the best part of this movie as he shows his messed up psyche in most of those scenes. And Manoj Bajpayee once again shows his range as an actor as he portrays the role perfectly as the villain who steals the show in this film. Amitabh tries to do what he does in the second half of the film due to the story requirements, but he fails in portraying the madness that Manoj brought onto the screen. Number 6, Priyanka Chopra in What's Your Raashee. It's weird when a movie gives you the chance to play 12 characters. It's a chance for you to show your range, but it's also the downfall of the entire film. What's Your Raashee is a movie that tries to explore the 12 different Raashees in a hatke way, where we saw the same actress portraying the role of 12 different girls. But this movie was disastrous as it was more than 3 hours long, which resulted in it being a drag. It was boring and very repetitive as Harman Baweja looks for a girl to get married to. It was only Priyanka Chopra who actually benefited from this movie as she created a record of playing 12 different roles in the same film. Each and every character was different from the other as well. From a dominant personality to a timid one. From a mature physician to a 15-year-old girl. She plays it all and is fairly convincing in these roles. If the movie was any good, we would have been praising her for acting skills. But because the movie is a big flop and was so bad, we normally don't talk about her performance in this movie, and that's a shame. Number 5, Ranbir Kapoor and Bombay Velvet. When a movie is directed by Anurag Kashyap and it has Ranbir as the leading actor, there are high hopes from this film. But then you watch the movie and you're like, what the fuck did I just watch? And that's because it just doesn't feel like an Anurag Kashyap film. It's more grand in nature, but the content of it is just not new or creative enough. But one thing that stays intact in this film is the performance of Ranbir Kapoor. As usual, Ranbir gives a performance that is wonderful in its own sense. He is almost flawless as Johnny Balraj as he throws himself into the absurd role and his character. His dream of becoming a big shot, his motivations and his actions towards them are all justified in his performance. The gun scene, the one with the fighting ring, and some of his rage-filled moments are the best scenes in this movie. The way his character is written and the way Ranbir portrays him makes you hate him and empathize with him at the same time. And that is really the only great thing about this film. Number 4, Shahid Kapoor and Mausam. A love story that spans over 10 years, Mausam was supposed to be a timeless romance between two people. But it's kinda tedious as we see the two star-crossed lovers meet many times in different scenarios over the span of several years, which gets really repetitive and boring. While Sonam Kapoor is Sonam Kapoor in giving her typical clueless face performance, it's Shahid Kapoor's performance that is fabulous. He plays both the happy-go-lucky village boy and then the sophisticated pilot with relative ease. His transformation between the two different portrayals looks smooth as well. In a movie that is too long for its own good, it's Shahid's performance that makes us endure the entire film. It is for us still one of his best movie portrayals, and Shahid even said it in an interview that even though the film flopped at the box office, he got 18 film offers after the release of this film, which clearly shows that he impressed the right people. Number 3, Irrfan Khan and Billu. Billu is the remake of a Malayalam film named Kada Pariyum Bol, which was a big hit. But the story from the Malayalam film just didn't translate that nicely in the Bollywood version. Hence, this Priyadarshan film ended up being a flop at the box office. Now, we'll not say that this is an outright bad film. It's an average one-time watch. But Irrfan Khan's performance is worth watching again and again as he plays the common man Billu excellently. A good person who doesn't want to take advantage of his superstar friend. He's stuck between trying to please his family and friends while also not disturbing his big superstar friend. Irrfan captures the dilemma that his character is facing perfectly throughout this film. He's good even in the comic scenes, and then the final scene is just as good as he can get. The SRK monologue in the end is good, but also the small monologue that Irrfan gives is also very heart-touching, and this film is surely worth watching only for Irrfan. Number 2, Tabu and Fitoor. An adaptation of the Charles Dickens novel Great Expectations, Fitoor was a movie that looked beautiful with the Kashmiri backdrop. But it failed in the main soul of the story as it tries hard to capture the beauty of Kashmir, then building the characters and the story of the film. So much so that you don't really empathize with the two leading characters or the class divide that is stopping them from being together. But then there is Tabu, who's in a world of her own. She plays the role of Begum Hazrat and really captures the emotional conflict that her character is going through. She holds the audience in her grasp, and eventually Fitoor feels more of a Tabu film than of Katrina and Aditya Roy Kapoor. Her character simply has more depth as her love has more pain and passion, and Tabu as usual manages to convey her emotions flawlessly. Number 1, Randeep, Hooda and Sarbjit. This is the movie we are making this list for because as a movie on its own, Sarbjit is fairly average. Even though the story is worth telling, the execution of this movie is lackluster as it has over-the-top dialogues and is hyper-melodramatic. Also, Aishwarya Rai in this film is plain bad as she shouts broken Punjabi like she's the female Sunny Deol. But then the movie is completely worth a watch because Randeep Hooda single-handedly makes this film good. His performance is driven by pure talent and commitment. The physical transformation that Randeep Hooda went through for this film is striking as he lost 18 kgs for this role in just 28 days. Randeep in this movie played the role of Sarbjit, who was wrongfully tortured. The manifestation of his painful life will surely make you feel bad and leave you teary-eyed, as you can feel the trauma that his character is going through and the agony that he is in. But it's not only because of his body transformation, but it's because of his expressions, his dialogue delivery and his body language. Everything is near perfect. Literally every time he's on screen, he lifts the whole movie up and puts it on a pedestal. And that is why this is the first movie on our list. So guys, this was our video for the top 10 good performances in bad movies. Do let us know in the comments below what did you think about this list. Are there any other performances that you would include in this list? Let us know. Also, do let us know in the comments below what are the videos you want us to make next. Follow our social media handles to get to know us better, like and share this video, and subscribe to Brainwash for more videos like these.